think it was around 1 o'clock. We went out to the sound because there was a lull in the storm. So we went out there. The sound was about 150 yards out where there was no water. So we went out there and shot some video, and actually we were kind of making fun of it a little bit because we thought we were unscathed and everything. So we came home. Within about 45 minutes from when we sat down there, when I got up, there was zero water in the yard at all. And when I got up to put the dishes away, there was like 4 feet of water already in our yard. So it came up that fast, and we were about, I guess, 200 yards off the sound. Went to about 4.5 feet of water, and it kind of pretty much crested, like you can see a lot of the marks on the fences, and pretty much ruined my Bronco. So it went up to about the hood of my Bronco. So I mean, we had everybody's stuff from the whole street. It all came down our long driveway and stopped at the fence. It was a nightmare cleanup. We had to hire crews to come out here and clean up all the debris. We had tires, coolers, just buckets of oil, just everything gross, and we had to clean it up. Luckily, none of the structural damage at all compared to some of the other people on our road. We were pretty lucky. So, I mean, kind of blessed. It's one of the few downsides of this old house is we actually sit below sea level at our house. So we are actually about 2 feet, maybe 3 feet below sea level, so when the water came in, it just settles. So what we're standing on now, you see like sediment of mud and stuff, that actually was pumped out. We pumped it out for about 3 straight days. Just pumped it out in the woods and finally have no water, but now it's just gross mud and smells kind of like sewage a little bit down there, but so we're just going to have to keep cleaning up. Oh, I mean, the neighborhood's kind of destroyed, really. I mean, we lost one house completely. It was when we went down to check on the Stenson route, it was missing. And then when you turn around to go look up the street, it's like a half block up, just in rubble. But everybody seemed to get a lot of just whatever was underneath their houses was just like destroyed. Most of our houses are up on stilts, but we had a couple houses like I'm staring at it right now at the end of our road. There was a 1-story house, and they completely gutted their house and no floors in there right now. They're drying it out, so it could be worse. Well, we haven't really cleaned up the basement very much. This is just woo, and it's still really muddy. So this is just furniture that we thought that we had put up high enough because the water levels never come really above these work shelves ever before. So usually when we put stuff up there, we're okay. But as you can see the water line on some of the furniture, and it went up above the windows, so of course everything was underwater. So anything that we thought that was safe that we put on the shelves really wasn't safe. It was actually all on the floor by the end of the storm because it all had washed away. So, and as you can see, it's like pretty gross thick mud that actually we've cleaned up some, but still looks pretty bad in here. I mean, we had the door shut. We had it screwed shut right here, and a couple spots actually up here too. And the force of the water just ripped it out. And you can see, I mean, there's the water line actually right here to where it came up in the basement. So it was up around my upper stomach, almost to my chest. And I'm 6'2". But there's our breaker box. And I don't know if you can see that because it's a little bit dark in here, but it came to about 1 inch of our breaker box, which that's not even close. So I cut the power off because obviously if it flooded and it was on, it might fry the whole house. And pretty much I know people just got power at some parts of Killable Hills like yesterday. So we're really lucky, but it could have been worse because if we had the power on and that hit that box, the whole house would be messed up. So, and this is kind of a lot of the stuff, like some of the stuff's we don't even have pallets, and it must have went in the door, somehow maneuvered its way through the basement and came through this door and settled in here. We're not sure. I mean, the fences are, and some of this stuff was in the basement. It just somehow worked its way past the washer and dryer, which is it's a very tight space. It just kind of settled in this kind of utility room that we use to store really like workbenches and stuff like that. So, and it was a lot worse. I mean, this is now, what's today, Saturday? So we've been cleaning up for about 4 straight days. This is just one of the rooms that we haven't touched. So if you can imagine what this looks like, that's what our yard looked like. If you magnify this by about 3 or 4 times, that's what the front yard looked like, but with everybody's stuff. So we had kitchen tables, anything you can think of, we had it in our yard for sure. So there's about 1 foot of this, I don't even know what it is, sediment I guess, from the sound, but all of this is, you can go 20 feet in the woods and there's just garbage everywhere. You can kind of see it laying here, but if you walked into the woods, you'd see, there's just garbage, like just everywhere. So it's going to be like a super long cleanup. So, and you can tell how far we are from the sound. Our driveway is incredibly long that way, and all that just kind of came all down here, sat on our fence. Luckily, our fence didn't break, but it kind of held everyone's stuff and just kind of settled in our yard. So our yard was pretty much destroyed. See, I'm from Southern California, so I've dealt with earthquakes and stuff, which are pretty scary. So I've never really dealt with floods. My wife's lived here her whole life, and then her parents even longer than that. And this is by far, if you ask anybody on our road, that was the worst it's ever been. And as fast as it came up, 45 minutes that's just insane for that water. I mean, it was 150 yards out. So within that time span, it came back into normal and then just flooded everything. I mean, you can go up on Soundside Road almost a half a mile and there's water damage to houses, like, you know, maybe a foot deep, which that's just never happened before. And they'll tell you that. My wife's lived here 23 years, and it's never been this bad ever. I mean, we might have had worse wind damage, but not water damage like this. I mean, like my next door neighbor, he's lived here his pretty much whole adult life, and he, you know, he hasn't ever seen it like this as well. So.